Hello everyone, welcome back to another very special video. I'm DTM as always, and it is currently midnight where I am at, and I have like work in the morning that I need to do, but Faye has with us these refines for April, and I am super excited for this because obviously OG Edelgard is up for the refine batch, and I'm so excited to see what this refine can be. And yeah, let's dive right into it. As always, if you like the content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that jazz to help support the channel. Only takes 5 seconds to subscribe, but it truly does help out this channel a lot, and I really do appreciate all the constant support. And yeah, thanks again to Phoenix Master for the graphics. And yeah, let us get started with Edelgard, the queen herself. Her new victorious axe accelerates special trigger at start of combat if unit is HP is greater than or equal to 25%, or the number of foes within 2 spaces of unit, excluding target, is greater than or equal to the number of allies within 2 spaces of unit. Because apparently the 25% HP condition is too onerous right now for IS. Grants all stats +4 to unit, and unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack during combat. So when you compare this to her OG one, obviously we now have extra stats, and then we now have the added unit HP is greater than or equal to 25%. So that basically now happens all the time, getting the stat buffs and the guaranteed follow-up attack. But other than the stat buffs, the base effect didn't really change that much besides the more lenient condition, of course. But the refine effect is what's interesting. If unit initiates combat or is not adjacent to an ally, grants all stats +4 to unit during combat, and deals damage equals to 10% of unit's attack, including for AoEs. And obviously having this true damage on the attack is really good. Now it's only 10%, so even if you have, let's say, like 80 attack, that's really only 8 true damage, which is nice, but it's nothing like groundbreaking or anything. But the really good part is what follows. If unit initiates combat and unit is not adjacent to any ally after combat, grants another action to unit once per turn. So yeah, Edelgard here gets Raging Storm in her weapon. Like, Raging Storm, like, that is actually insane, especially for a unit that's in the 4-star special rate. And yeah, she can now also do triple action Gale Force alongside Fallen Edelgard and Summer Edelgard, which is obviously super nice. Now, unfortunately, because of this solo condition in this Raging Storm effect, you can't really use her that well as a Wings of Mercy like follow-up Gale Forcer, because obviously when you warp in with Wings of Mercy, you're automatically adjacent to the Wings of Mercy beacon unit, right? Unless somehow we get like Wings of Mercy 4 that allows you to warp 2 spaces of a unit below 50% HP. If that ever happens, then obviously OG Edelgard will become an amazing follow-up Gale Forcer, because the only other follow-up Gale Forcer that we have that can run Wings of Mercy and get triple actions is Fallen Edelgard. And that's because Fallen Edelgard's Raging Storm effect is tied to her transformation, not being solo. So yeah, it is unfortunate that there's the solo effect, so you can't use her as a WOM follow-up unit, but you can still use her very well, obviously, as an initiator. I don't think she'll be better than, say, Summer Edelgard, or a lot of the other initiators we have, like OG Thor, and the like. But still, she'll be very strong, and definitely a very good option, especially because, again, being able to act 3 times is really good for managing your HP with the Fury damage and whatnot. It gives you a lot more flexibility to maybe not even need to run double Fury Seal. You can just run Fury 4 in the A, and with the triple actions, that can be enough, especially in seasons like Chaos Season, where you don't get HP buffs. Or you can run double Fury and don't even need like special acceleration. Although obviously I think you'd probably still want special acceleration here, That's the other thing, right? You probably want to run her with Flashing Blade. She doesn't have special acceleration in her weapon, like Fallen Edelgard has in Armored Wall, but it's not like Summer Edelgard had special acceleration either. So you can, it's really simple to like overcome. You just like run Flashing Blade Seal and the like. But yeah, super happy that Edelgard has Gale Force in her weapon. That is really, really strong, and I'm super excited. I don't think this will like be better than Fallen Edelgard or Summer Edelgard yet. Again, if Wings of Mercy somehow makes it so that you warp within 2 spaces instead of just adjacent, this will be very strong, but for now, it's pretty good. So yeah, next up we have is Silque with the new Staff of Lilies. She didn't have a perf weapon before, so this is all completely new. She calculates damage from staff like other weapons, so Wrathful. After combat, if unit attack, resets special cooldown of target and foes within 2 spaces of target, and inflicts guard on target and foes within 2 spaces of target. And at the start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25%, grants all stats plus 4 to unit during combat. Okay, so this is a very interesting effect because this is like a very, very decked out pulse smoke effect, I guess, with the guard, obviously. So after you attack, right, you inflict guard, and you reset the special cooldowns of the targets. And so what I assume this means is that it just resets all the special cooldowns to whatever its max value is. Obviously, it still takes in effects like slaying and or the special cooldown +1 that Na has. No, not Na. Noe has with her perf. But say like you have Deadeye pre-charge and you have Slaying, then after Silque attacks, it'll go to 2. And so yeah, that is actually really interesting. The Refine effect is if unit initiates combat or is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants all stats +4 to unit during combat. And also after combat, if unit attacks, inflicts attack speed -6 on target and foes within 2 spaces of target through their next actions. Grants defense res +6 to allies within 2 spaces of unit during combat, and restores 7 HP to those allies after combat. So yeah, more debuffs and buffing your allies and doing some healing. So overall, this is a very interesting effect. I don't think it'll be enough to make Silque, you know, meta or like below top tier or anything, but I think this is pretty decent. You can definitely make this work. Not like groundbreaking or like meta shifting or anything like that, but you know, it's nice. It's decent. Very nice. Alright, next up we have is Bantu, and like a Silque, Bantu didn't have a perf weapon, so this is all completely new. At start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25%, grants all stats +4 to unit during combat, and also, if no effect neutralizes penalties to foes' stats, inflicts penalty on each of those stats during combat, equals to 6 minus current penalty on each of those stats. So this is basically like an Omni Seal effect with the new Tier 4 Seal skills, which is really nice. If unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25% at the start of combat, inflicts all stats -6 on foe through its next action after combat, and then dragon adaptive damage. So yeah, obviously, Bantu right now is really focused on like in-combat debuffs and just straight up debuffs in general. Also, there's like a second edition. If foe initiates combat or foe HP is greater than or equal to 75%, at start of combat, grants all stats +4 to unit, and foe cannot make a follow-up attack during combat. So yeah, you're getting a lot of in-combat debuffs with this, and obviously you get +8 to all stats. And theoretically, you know, this is nice. Having this like huge stat swings obviously really helps Bantu with a sort of outdated stat line. I don't know if it's enough right now, because outside of all those stats, he really only gets the deny follow-up effect. And like, as an infantry dragon, Bantu does face a lot of competition. I mean, this is a huge stat swing though, so he'll probably be a very good stat ball, but I don't think he'll be like meta defining or that prominent. I don't really know where you would actually use Bantu, unfortunately. But still, like, he has definitely gotten a really big upgrade, so you can make him work. Yeah, this is a pretty decent refine. I like it. Alright, next up we have is Conrad with Mass Lance. This is also new because, again, this is a common theme. Conrad didn't have a perf weapon. If unit initiates combat or is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants all stats +4 to unit during combat, and inflicts penalty on foes' attack defense res during combat equals to 20% of units res at the start of combat. So this is really interesting. This is very similar to Shell's effect, or Gilliam, I guess, is also something similar, in which like 20% of units res becomes a penalty. And so obviously you probably want to stack res. With his base 35, you can probably get that to 40 really easy, and that's not even counting skills. So let's say 50 from like the effects in his weapon, and then like 60, I guess, from just like stacking defensive stats. With 60, 20% of that is 20% of that is like what? It is like so late. I can't do math right now. Like 12? Yeah, I think it's 12. So that is like minus 12 attack defense res during combat, which is pretty significant. And obviously, as you stack more res, that grows and grows. Of course, that's not all he has. At the start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25%, grants all stats +4 to unit during combat. And also, if unit's res is greater than foe's res, reduce damage from attacks during combat and from AoEs by percentage equals to difference between stacks times 40. So yeah, you also get Dragon Wall, so obviously you really want to stack res. And so this makes Conrad into, I would say, a very enemy phase focused cavalry. Now, unfortunately, enemy phase cavalries are not particularly that great. And I don't think like the pseudo shell effect or the Dragon Wall will be enough to make him that particularly good at tanking things, especially compared to like infantry or armored units. Like, I don't know, enemy phase cavs are just not a thing, right? But still, like, this is pretty decent, so like you can make it work, especially in more relaxed content like Abyss and Abyssals and whatnot. So yeah, pretty decent upgrade. Yeah, it's nice. Alright, next we have is Dual Alfonse, and Dual Alfonse is really interesting. The base effect is now Accelerate Special Trigger. At start of combat, if unit special is ready, grants all stats +5 to unit during combat. Foe can make a follow-up attack and reduces damage from foes attack by 20% of unit's defense. So Alfonse gets flat damage reduction, and obviously like flat damage reduction is so strong. This is obviously a huge upgrade from his base effect, which originally just grants all stats +5 and the deny follow-up effect. So that basically remains the same, but you obviously get the now flat damage reduction, which again is really strong. This is not all though. If unit is within 3 spaces of an ally, grants all stats +4 to unit during combat, inflicts guard on foe per attack. It reduces the effects of deep wounds on unit by 50% during combat, and also when special triggers, unit deals damage equals to 50% of unit's defense. So yeah, obviously you want to be stacking defense on Alfonse, and probably just stacking defensive stats in general. Alfonse here, I think, is becoming like a discount dual Asker in a sense. Because like a lot of this, I think dual Asker has. Like obviously the dual skill still like reduces the special cooldown count for infantry. Obviously for Asker, it's for any type of unit, but it's only 1, whereas Alfonse it is 2. So I guess that's sort of side grade, although obviously with Asker with his C, it's still effectively 2, so yeah, I think dual Asker is obviously a lot better than dual Alfonse, but this like definitely brings it up a little bit. And I don't know, like I don't want to discount flat damage reduction. Like that is insanely strong. So it will definitely depend on his like combat capabilities. So we'll have to test him out in practice with this. But if he's able to do at least somewhat decently against the meta, he can be pretty strong there. Personally, I'm a bit more skeptical. Like, obviously, Alfonse doesn't have the greatest stat line these days with, just the BST creep we've had. But again, the flat damage reduction is definitely nothing to be trifled with. But yeah, overall, those are the Refines. Very interesting batch this time around. Yeah. Obviously, I'm super excited for Edelgard. Like, having Raging Storm, having triple actions is always super fun, and I'm super excited to test her out. Maybe I'll do a showcase, maybe not. It'll depend. I actually have to build her up, though. Alfonse, I think, is also really cool. Again, flat damage reduction is really nice. Having special cooldown support, even if it's only to infantries, is nice. And yeah, I don't think he'll be as good as Asker, like far from it, but he'll still be strong. And then, yeah, the rest are pretty decent. So yeah, as for how I would rank these units, honestly, I'm pretty biased when it comes to triple action, so I think Edelgard is barely S tier. You can make the argument for A tier because obviously the solo condition makes it so you can't run, really make her work as a Wings of Mercy initiator. But if you can manage to get her to double with Flashing Blade, you can proc Gale Force and then go and then like step away from the unit you warp to and then proc Raging Storm. So there are ways to make it work for using Wings of Mercy on her as like a follow-up unit, but it's definitely a lot harder than Fallen Edelgard. So that would be tough. Now on the flip side, so OG Edelgard can run Flashing Blade, which speed checks are genuinely a lot easier to meet. But yeah, A or S, I think I'll probably leave it at S. But again, the argument can be made for A. Alfonse, again, flat damage reduction is really great. The true damage is really great. It's going to be very hard to kill him and to be able to survive against him, especially with Open the Future and whatnot. I don't know, again, if his stat line will make it so that he'll be able to meet a lot of the meta threats, so he could go down to B, depending on how the calcs play out. But I'm going to give Alfonse the benefit of the doubt. I think he needs it. So yeah, A for Alfonse. And then the rest I think are decent. They're not weak by any means, but I don't think they're particularly that meta either. But you can still make them work. And yeah, very cool. All right, we also got the stat lines for the new banner. And yeah, we knew what Mark's stat line was. It's going to be very high on attack and res. Unfortunately, very low defense and speed, which is a bit interesting. I don't know how I feel about that, honestly. It makes him pretty, makes them pretty vulnerable, I would say. But with all the debuffs and stuff, obviously, like, Mark becomes deceptively tanky. So we have to wait and see. Eliwood, very offensive stat line as expected. Hector, very defensive stat line as expected, sacking speed for the rest of the stats. Rebecca, very, very offensive stat line, especially for a demote. You like to see it. And then Lucius, yeah, it's definitely a infantry healer, I guess. That is infantry healer staff stat line. Yeah, I wish Lucius's speed was higher. And the defense was a bit higher, like move some of that res into defense, but I guess it's nice, so yeah, those are the stats. And also, thank you to Mr. Gengar and Co. for the graphic as always. And yeah, one final thing, we did get the inheritance restrictions for Armored Beacon. Thank you for Eskero for this, and it is inheritable to all armors regardless of range, except for staff units with a bonfire prerequisite. So, rip staff units again, because IS doesn't give them anything. But yeah, Armored Beacon is inheritable to also ranged units, so I think this will be probably the best in slot option for ranged units. Because obviously they can't run Aegis, Hardy Fighter. They can run Aegis, but they can't run Hardy Fighter, that's what I meant to say. And so obviously that would be immediately very strong. We don't, as of recording, we don't know if Lethality or Deadeye pierces through Armored Beacon or not. So we'll have to test that, I guess tomorrow, when the banner comes out. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, overall, those are the refines and updates. Let me know down in the comments which one you're most excited for. And yeah, I am very excited for this. Again, Edelgard getting Raging Storm is super cool. I really love it. And yeah, super excited to, I guess, try to showcase her. Be on the lookout for that, probably during the weekend when I actually have free time. But yeah, let me know down in the comments which one of these refines are your favorite. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that jazz to help support the channel. Only takes 5 seconds to subscribe, but it truly does help out the channel a lot, and I really do appreciate all the support. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and see you all next time. Bye everyone!